Welcome, everyone. This is our day 6, and we have completed the 5 days of training. And always there are people who ask, like, okay, well, tell me how it works and show me the big picture and show me the stages. So, what we're going to do in this video together is I'm going to show you sort of how it all fits together and especially how the stages of subtle body healing actually work so you can see how those fit together. And if you're someone who's really gotten the sparkle of this work and you want to know how to go deeper, I'm going to tell you how that works and how I work with people if that's something that you're interested in. Stay tuned for that. So, as we always do, let us step over the threshold into this space where we're really turning towards our inner world. And today I'm going to give you a technique phrase I want you to start learning and using because this is the entry, as you'll see it show up in phase 1 of really starting to help the mind body system really start to settle. And it's really aimed at the protector system. So often when I'm teaching, I've developed a lot of phrases that are energetic, subtle body phrases. And so they don't have to make sense to your mind, but I would ask you to use them just as is because they have a lot of alignment with how things are beyond the logical mind. So just taking a deep breath and breathing your shoulders up. And as you exhale, exhaling them down. And now, as we start to really bring our mind into the body, we're now much more cognizant of all the different layers in the protector system. I want you to imagine that you are speaking to the body directly, as if the body was its own friend, like a friend that's always with you. And using the phrases out loud, this is important because your brain processes things differently when you're saying them out loud and hearing them versus when you are just thinking them in your mind. And I want you to use what I call the safety phrases, the safety phrase. And this is a very simple phrase. I want you to use it as is, and I want you to say it out loud, imagining that you're speaking to your body directly. Body, this is a safe place to be, and I choose this. Good. And just notice what happens when your body hears you say that. So, this is a big, subtle body tool that I want you to keep using. It seems simple, but anytime that you feel a little bit off, or you start to notice your body getting triggered, or you start to feel the protector system coming up, which now you're much better at recognizing, it's using the safety phrase body, this is a safe place to be, and I choose this. And then just setting your intention from your heart, heart to pelvis, pelvis to heart, back of the heart to the front of the heart. Really setting your intention. Something like, may I receive, I want to receive everything that I need. Please show me in a way that I can understand. And then just noticing on the inside. And coming back, build a little chi, clear out the brain, fingers through the hair, tapping down the back of the neck, front of the body, feet, legs, arms, back. Good. So let's dive right into this training together. I'm going to share my screen. Great. So, what we want to do here is as we start to look at how does it work and how does it all fit together. So often when I do these free trainings, sometimes people say, okay, well, tell me the how and tell me all the steps. And this is normal. And this is a normal thing that the mind and the protector system do. I need to know it all now and exactly and do it all in this moment. But the truth is that there are really 4 key components when it really comes to self mastery and change. And, the first that we start with, what we really want is mastery level results. So I want you to really hear this with all parts of yourself because the first part is knowledge. And knowledge is good, but it's also a mind trap because when we get only stuck in knowledge, we sometimes the mind tells us that the knowledge is the whole thing. All I need is more knowledge. A lot of people have said, in the comments and in their takeaways that, wow, I didn't realize that always going for more knowledge is actually a protector system mechanism. So we want to be careful. Yes, we need knowledge, but we don't want to get stuck in the mind trap because we don't want to be stuck where we know it, but we can't actually do it. because knowledge is actually a very comfy protector system hideout. So we want to get some knowledge, and that's important as a foundation, but we don't want to stay there. The next component that's important is technique. Now, here, when you get techniques, and many of you are already in this category of having that middle column of body mind sort of techniques. You've done acupuncture, you've done qigong, you've done yoga, you've done mindfulness, you've done like really mindfulness with affirmations, and that will cause some subtle body changes. But as we start to get down into subtle body techniques, techniques that really change how the mind and the body protection are going together, the connections, what you'll also start to get is protector system activation. So, this is partly why, even if we spent a week together, that I can't, it's not really even ethical for me to give you a lot of things that I know are going to flare up your protector system. Because the danger there, and I'm going to show you how this works very strategically going through the sessions and the three phases of how subtle body works, is that as you actually start to do things that will make a change. If you're just doing knowledge, you can fucking do knowledge till the cows come home, and your protector system will never lift a finger because it's in its comfortable mode. But I will tell you, the second that you start to do this stuff that actually works, that actually starts to change the system, you will see your protector system start to freak out. And some people, you can see in the comments, have already noticed that when you start to feel into how it could be different, when you've started asking some of the questions that I've asked you to ask your body, you notice that right away you get a huge response, a feeling of fear, a feeling of anger. Sometimes people will even lash out at me in these groups because their protector system, I don't think they know that that's what they're doing, but their protector system comes up so strongly that they're acting out before they even know what's going on. So, what's really important in subtle body work is to have personalized expert guidance. This is really what's needed to really get through this bumpy stage at the beginning where the protector system gets flared up. You need to be able to quickly take that, and with the right knowledge and application for you and your sneaky protector system, to really expose those patterns and get them rehabilitated for your protector system. So this is where we move beyond the blind spots. And this is why a lot of you are here, because you've done a lot of stuff and maybe you got a little bit of advancement in certain ways, but the protector system, sneaky in different ways, got you distracted. Either the technique itself wasn't subtle body enough, or even if it was a decent body mind technique, even if you start to get towards that subtle body level, your protector system will come up so strongly, and you often really don't have the tools for it because you don't understand the subtle body wiring and getting down to the basement and the depth of unwinding, that it won't be successful because the protector system will always drag you back to your default, even when your default is crappy. So, personalized expert guidance is super important. We also need to take things through. You'll notice that this isn't everything, because sometimes people get the knowledge, they get the technique, they get a guide and a mentor, but you also need to have what I call implementation cycles. So you need to have a few times where you are getting the feedback and then implementing it successfully. That's what really closes the circle. This is where you get to the place where you really have grounded, undeniable, successful experience. This is where you become unshakable. And this is what I want for you. This is what I'm about. If that's not really what you want, if you just want to stay on the knowledge track, that's okay. If yeah, maybe I'm not for you, that's totally fine. But what I know in my heart from having done this work in myself, undeniably, that I am here to help people who are really ready for unshakable results, unshakable inner peace, and a foundation for your life purpose, for your spiritual destiny, and to really live and manifest that heart level out into the world. So I want you to see what happens in this cycle when we start to bring in the protector system? So, here at the knowledge level, the protector system might be on normal overdrive because it's doing fear and the mind things that it does, but it's also very comfortable. It's comfortable with the crappy feelings because the crappy feelings are the status quo. So, like I've described, when you start to do actually these subtle body techniques, what will happen is your protector system will naturally get stirred up. And if it stays in that stirred up moment without expert guidance to help detonate sort of the alarms that are going off, it will aggressively start to attack, become threatening, become angry. Maybe you act out. Like I said, this happens all the time. So the important part is if you get that stage through expert guidance, what you'll notice is that the protector system does start to transform. The protector system isn't impossible, it's just very tricky, and it has a certain need. And so when you can really get in there with expert guidance, you're going to find a passive and upgraded protector system. Because ultimately, when we get through those integration cycles, what you start to see is that the protector system can and should and is made to become your helpful partner. It's meant to be the watchdog who doesn't bite everybody that walks by, but is gently by your side, knows what's actually a real threat and what's not. So, really, really important. This is like the next depth level of training for the protector system. Because remember, we have to actually deal with the whole subtle body all at once. But with this systematic approach, this is really what's required. The person that doesn't like that is the protector system. Whenever you start to deal with the system and actually change things at once, the protector system says, whoa, hold on. Protector system would love it if you just do like, hey, just do a little mind body here, just do a little this. And you might even think thoughts like that those might come up in your mind as you're watching this. Your mind might say, like, oh, well, this was interesting, but I don't know, maybe I'll go watch that other thing, or maybe I'll go back to that other thing, or maybe I'll just get this book, or ooh, that like squirrel, shiny object kind of thing. And that's okay. But I want you to be laser beam clear that that's your sneaky protector system coming in, because as you start to move towards things that will actually make a difference, it's going to really up its game and get even more ninja on you. So you got to watch out for that. Things like resistance, sabotage, foggy mind things that seemed really clear before. You're like, oh, well, I thought that, yeah, I was interested, but I don't know. I'm not interested anymore. I'm going to move on to something else. So just be on the lookout to serve yourself and your own growth. So, as we go deeper in these techniques, if you feel like you are really getting the message and you want to do this work deeply, part of why I do this training is so one, I'm getting this education out there, and for you to know if this is the right thing for you to go deeper. Whenever I do this training, I work with people individually in a training program deeply personally, because I know that we really need these four things. And the way that I do that is I train people very deeply, more than I can do in a 5-day training. So if this is what you've been searching for, I open up a number of spots, and I keep all of my trainings quite small because I really work with people personally. This isn't meant for everyone, and you really need personal guidance. So I only have 10 spots to open up. And there's a lot of people in this training, hundreds and hundreds. And so it's really important to know if you're being called to it. Because the other thing that I know when I bring a training group together is that it really is a sacred space. And you've sort of starting to get a feel for that, of how much people can come together and support each other. And it's really important that it be the right group of people in the right way, of people who are really ready. If you're still like unsure, or you're still at the beginning of your journey, or maybe you're getting some ahas from this training to be like, whoa, there's a lot here that I haven't even delved into, it might not be the right time. So that's totally okay. But if you are feeling like it's the right time, there's a 3-step process that you need to do so you can get one of those 10 spots if it's for you. The first thing is I'm going to go through this process and then we're going to go through the phases so you can really see in this training, like I've talked about, how it all fits together. So if you feel like you would maybe want one of those slots, you need to comment interested below this video. And then what I'll do is I will reach out, and there's a lot of people in this group. So I'll probably have my team help me with that. And we're going to ask you a few questions. Do not delay on answering those questions because there is a lot of demand generally when we do these trainings. And I don't want you to lose your spot. So if you make it to level 3 and you are qualified, I will invite you to join the program and sign up. If you get that invite and you want it, do not delay in signing up because there are enough people that need it and are ready and are the right fit. And so we'll have to give your spot to someone else. So if it's really for you, please make sure and you make it to step 3 and you're qualified and you've passed all of those layers, then please do take action and actually sign up because there's always someone who wanted it, but they delayed and there was someone else that was ready. So that's the process if you're feeling the call. So let's go through, and I want you to see how this progression from knowledge to technique to personalized guidance to implementation and what the actual unfolding of how subtle body work works on all levels. So what we're really headed towards is this picture where you've cleared out the major boulders of your body, mind, and mind. You know, self realization and the process of being a human and becoming closer to the great mystery as a human body and person living is a long process. But what we're doing in subtle body work is to really get the boulders out of the way, to no longer feel blocked, to know what to do at every moment, to actually get freer and clearer and have real mastery of yourself versus being, sort of the victim of your emotions and the winds and the patterns and the trauma that's there. So we're really looking for this inner knowing to have free flow to permeate throughout your life. And what you'll notice is that creates a calmer, peaceful mind on the inside. This is where we're headed. So we're essentially taking a disorganized system and really organizing it in a way that really flows and allows that deep mystery that is the heart soul level to really clearly manifest. People in the new agey circles talk a lot about manifesting, which is a thing. But what people don't say is that the missing key is your subtle body. Your heart is the manifester because it is the part that is most connected to the creator of the great mystery. So people say, well, I'm a creator being. Well, how do you think that's working on a technical level? It's working because that is the inherent heart soul that is within you, that column. But if you have a lot of crap in your body, mind, and your mind, those will naturally block your manifesting. So this is all linked together to the half truths that you've heard. And now we're dropping down into the step-by-step play-by-play. So, phase 1 of subtle body work, good news, you've already started on phase 1. The first part is you really have to get the behind the scenes knowledge of what's really happening because you can't work a machine that you don't have the manual to. You can't integrate into a system if you don't know how it works. So, you've already started on this path by doing this training. You've been focusing on, understanding the components. What is the protector system? These are steps that cannot be skipped. There's still some more here of getting a little bit more of how does it work, and especially decoding the subtle body components even more. What's the heart protector and what's its job? How does the mind function? What are some of its triggers? What's the heart function? What does the back of the heart do? And how does that integrate with the front of the heart and the heart protector? What about the pelvis and its other connections and what hangs out there? And especially the solar plexus. So there's a lot of different major components of the body system that we simply don't have time to cram into 5 days. And so that's where we start to go deeper in phase 1, but you're already on the path. And so what happens then in the practical phase, remember we have knowledge that's important, then we need to bring in the practices. And the practices that we do here are all about how to get out of the head and into your body every single time. how to really uncover the mind lies, and how to really start reducing those protector system reactions. And I've already given you the first technique that we started at the very beginning, which is the safety phrase. Now, it might sound simple, but this is very profound. I've given, free talks all over. I was in Denver giving a talk, and then I happened to run into someone, I think it was like 2 years later at a women's networking thing. I didn't even recognize the woman. She was very kind. And she said, I came to that one talk that you did, and I still use that phrase, and it really does work. So she wasn't ever one that was interested in going deeper, but she was really using that phrase. And even though she, probably didn't maybe even believe in a lot of stuff, even starting to use these techniques will start to make a difference. So you're already on the knowledge and practical base. Body, this is a safe place to be, and I choose this, using the clearing phrase or using the safety phrases. So, if you're a therapist, this level of knowledge that you start to get in phase one starts to give you tools beyond talking. So, how to really teach your clients how to change their sensations beyond just being with them. Even if you're a somatic therapist, you're used to, finding the sensation, directing in the body, and then just being with it and breathing with it. But we start to go beyond that to actually know how to change it. So, you don't just have to be with it, you can actually release it and feel clear. There are always a certain amount of sensations. If you've done any somatic work or you are a somatic therapist yourself, there's a certain level, because remember, in the way that those levels connect, the mind does have an effect on the body. So even just focusing on an area will lighten and open stuff, but that's not the same as getting to the body, mind, and understanding it, and then dealing with it at that level. So, what personalized guidance does at this phase one is it really keeps your protector system from blocking the progress. And some people you might have seen this even as you start to think about these things, you start like right behind that thought is the protector system coming up. So, you really need support at this phase to really make sure that the protector system stays in line and doesn't totally block and sabotage everything. You're also looking for you need help with these sneaky mind errors that come up because they will seem very rational. You might even be having them now. It's just like, well, this isn't going to work, or this is good, but then it's going back. How is this any different? I've tried so many things. Those are all sneaky ass mind things that will come up at this phase one. And the pitfalls of doing it alone at this particular stage are intense protector system reactions and getting like a flare up of those alarms. So, this can really put you at risk to sort of deepen your self sabotage, because once again, your protector system has come up and really shut down the whole thing. And it deepens that old groove that says the mind lie of this is never going to work. So, this is why it's really key to have expert guidance at this phase. And the result that we're looking for in phase one is really you'll be able to consistently stop the mind spiral. So often you will notice that when you get a trigger, it just goes for days and you can't stop it. So that's what goes away first. So I want you to understand what results you can expect at what stages, because there is a progression to it. And what I'm describing is the way that I work with people. It's a 12-week program. So I'm sort of pacing out for you. This is how it works at each stage. So weeks 1 to 3 are phase one. So within 3 weeks of working together, and really going deep in concerted, subtle body work, you'll see that you're consistently stopping the mind spiral, that you're coming back quicker to actually being centered and recovering. And you'll see a little bit later, I'll show you some mapping people's results, is that we really track this. So when people come in, we ask them, like, how long does it take you to recover from a major trigger? And most people, when they're coming in, can usually say days to weeks is people's average. And so we see that go down very quickly, even halfway through the 12 weeks, and definitely by the end of the 12 weeks. So you'll also start in phase one to start catching and rerouting these old patterns. And as you leave sort of phase one, the sign is that you're noticing that your protector system has become more cooperative. It's not quite yet a partner, but it's open to, and it's not throwing up these huge alarms that are shutting down the system. In general, also, because you are starting to loosen things in the subtle body, you'll feel physically lighter and calmer. This is something that people report across the board, even within the first couple of weeks. So that's what we're looking for in stage one and how you know you're there. these are some clients sort of speaking to that of, Heidi was a TEDx organizer and a wonderful filmmaker. And she said, after doing this training, when triggers come up, I'm actually able to easily work through them and let them go instead of it being the thing that I do for 3 days. So she really commented on this. And actually, after she did the Body Wisdom Academy training, she got a pretty serious cancer diagnosis. And I remember her saying to me, like, I'm really glad, I'm thankful that I did this training beforehand, because I don't know what going through of this would have been like without these skills. This is Michelle, who is an art therapist. And, she had done a lot of work. She went to Naropa University, which is one of the forefront on somatic and, transpersonal psychology graduate school in the country. And she said, wow, this is a lot different, Leslie, than what I learned. It's a little bit, I knew that the body was connected. I knew how to be with sensations, but she really found that this was true, even in this phase one of, now when something shakes me, I know what to do about it. And that in itself is very empowering. I get the benefit of doing the work and releasing it. So this is sort of the difference that we're talking about that phase one. And where we are here in this part of our diagram is we start phase one with really working this axis, from thoughts to a little bit of the thought meanings to how the protector system is always sabotaging and sending these thoughts there. So here is where we stop the mind spiral in this phase one. So now let's move on to phase two. It's been a couple of weeks. You're noticing that you're calmer overall. You're feeling lighter in the body. There's less mind stories, and you're coming back as you're applying the tools over and over again. So in phase two, the knowledge that we need to go deeper is really which issues show up where in the body. So which issues show up where means, there's a code to way that things show up. So if it shows up in the solar plexus, what do you do? If it shows up in the pelvis, if it shows up over the heart, what does that do? If it's in the back of the heart, if it's over the left of the heart, because depending on how your body shows you the language of its sensations, there's a different approach that you need to take. So that's a big learning that we start to dive into in phase two. Also, we start to really go deeper in mind lies and what the heart voice versus the mind voice is. This is really important to start to clarify. And I'm going to show you in the next practical the tools that you need to actually really trace it to the source and dissolve it. So you've already started with this, with understanding the basement. But now what we need in terms of practical is we really need to know what we call it, the practice of tracing it down to the basement. You've already started to get to know who's in the basement, but in getting from the surface down to the basement, there's a few ways that the mind and the protector system will always try to get in. And if you're not aware of how to do it properly, you'll end up getting to sort of like a false basement. We'll talk about that in the next screen. So tracing it down to the basement without the mind protector system interference, and really learning how to release it from the source and then test if it's actually released. This is really important because this is how we're really starting to break the cycles in phase two. So this is also where we really go deep and learn the procedure for like knowing what's your energy or not your energy. And when it's not your energy, how does that show up in your body so you know what to do about it? If you're a therapist in this phase two, you're really getting faster, easier results for your clients. So you're going beyond the symptom management and you're starting to get big shifts where people are like, wow, that actually was really different. I didn't even get triggered. So as we start to get down to that level, this is where we're starting to get the big shifts. Often people want to come in like day one and be like, I want to not be triggered by my mother-in-law anymore. And I'm like, okay, you've been doing this for about 2 decades. So give me a couple weeks. We at least need to get to phase two. In this area, you really want the personal expert guidance, because this is where the protector system gets sneaky. So already we're past the part where you're getting like overt alarms, where you can really tell, where you're getting strong sensations and you're getting like yelling from the inside. That generally goes down by phase one, and it's easy to recognize, oh yeah, that's the protector system. In phase two, the protector system to goes like goes to like stealth DEFCON level 5 kind of thing, where it makes it seem like it's not interfering when it really is interfering at a deeper ninja level. So sometimes this will look like, oh wow, when I try to think about this deeper thing, I just can't feel anything at all, or I get distracted. So it's really a next level ninja move that's really helpful to have the guidance at this particular part. We also start to uncover like the mind cloaking devices and really see the next level of how mind shenanigans are showing up. Pitfalls to watch out here for in phase two, when you're if you're trying to do it alone, the problem is that you'll think you're getting close to the basement, but it's actually a false basement trail. And what that does is that you think you're getting to the bottom of it and you're like, yeah, I really got it, I saw that it's in the basement, but it's not actually getting out, so you don't actually get the benefit of breaking the pattern. This is also the place where you're getting some smoke screens from the protector system. So you maybe feel better for a little bit, but we're not getting to the root, or you're not recognizing that it's the protector system. You just think it's some logical mind thought that you want to go to. So that does sabotage the progress at this point if you don't have guidance. The result here, as we're really landing in phase two and getting the benefit of it, is that we're really starting to remove and dissolve the boulders from your subtle body. This is where we're getting actual trauma releases. You're building that tolerance in your nervous system, and you're starting to be able to do things in your empath ninja training that you're not triggered by things that you've always been triggered by. So, this is a big lessening of symptoms, and you're also starting to see some of your triggers actually dissolve. This is where you'll be surprised of like, oh wow, my dad called the other day, and I usually like feel really crappy for 2 days after he called, and I didn't even realize it, but he called yesterday, and yeah, I felt a little annoyed for like 30 minutes, and then I actually had a great day, and that's never happened before. So that's really what we're looking as the markers for phase two, that we're starting to see those dissolve. And this process is happening around like weeks 3 to 7 is when you can start to see those. And that's obviously a process. Usually, um, different triggers are wired in different ways into our subtle body. So it's not necessarily true that like little triggers will go first and then big triggers will go later. Sometimes big triggers go first and little triggers go later. Your body has a certain way that it likes to unwind those. And that's what we follow in stage two. Some people that we've worked with before. This is April. She had done so many things in her life. Was already a founder of a nonprofit organization that was supporting suicide awareness in the cycling community. And this was her saying, "I've made more progress in these first 4 weeks of the program than I did in 10 years of therapy." Julia, who had really done a lot, was already a yoga teacher and a holistic health coach when she went through the Body Wisdom Academy, and she had tried therapy for over 10 years with no huge life-changing results. And for this, it really landing, coming out of phase two and beyond, I finally, for the first time, feel free from lifelong issues that were holding me back. And you'll see Julia actually in the module, one of the modules of the Body Wisdom Academy, where you're learning on how to ask your body, really get questions and life guidance from your body. We talk about that in phase three in just a minute. But we were asking her body questions, and within a certain period of time after the Body Wisdom Academy, not only was she engaged and about to get married, but they also bought their dream house in the mountains and moved like in a sort of shockingly short amount of time. So when you start removing these blocks from the subtle body, it's pretty magical, the things that start to quote unquote manifest in your outer life because of the way that you're getting the stuff out of the way. So here in the first stage, we were really dealing with, this is phase one, dealing with the triggers and the mind spirals. And in phase two, we're starting to take that even deeper. And we're getting down to this axis where we're getting down to the basement. We're dealing with the sensations and the body meaning in a different way. And that will help dissolve the mind meanings and the mind stories and the triggers. So let's move on to phase three. So the knowledge that you're getting in phase three, you've already, like, you're stopping the mind spiral, you're becoming a lot more centered, you're noticing that your triggers are going away. So that speeds up the process even more. And now we're really filling in any little gaps. And phase three tends to be quite customized for people depending on where you are wanting and needing to work the most. So for empaths and especially healers in the world, this is really the place where we really start to build up your empath ninja skills. How do I actually use my sensitivity skills without the overwhelm? And that takes a little bit of rewiring in the subtle body, because we're used to leaning on the empathic parts of our wiring, but we're doing it in a dysfunctional way that drains us out. I remember talking with a massage therapist once, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I'm really in touch with people's energy, but I have to go home at the end of a workday and just like lay in Epsom salt baths for 2 hours, or else I like can't get out of bed the next morning." She might have been, her clients might have been happy, but she was draining out her chi so much that literally that is not a sustainable way to be. So this is where we're really toning up those skills and rewiring, and you're learning and patterning what is actually what I need and what is a dysfunction that needs rewired. So we also really learn and go into energetic communication, which you've got a taste of, for example, I always write like how to communicate with normal people. That maybe is not maybe the kind way to say it, but it's a way that makes sense to my brain of, people who maybe aren't into mindfulness, or haven't done therapy, or aren't used to like communicating in appropriate ways. It's still very possible to communicate with those people well and to feel strong and grounded in the midst of conflict when you start to get these skills. So that's really part of what we're doing in phase three, because phases one and two, we've really revamped the inner world. And so now we need to learn how to bridge the inner world with the outer world. And you'll see why in a moment when we go to the next slide. So we're also working on clarity of purpose and your soul aligned path here, how to really up level family relationships, even when your family are still the same people with the same dysfunction, how to have more love and connection, how to communicate with them in a way where you're not hearing them say, "Oh, you're just too sensitive." This is also where we really talk about yin yang communication, divine feminine, divine masculine, and how to magnetize ideal, healthy relationships. This is where we're also dealing with generational trauma and space clearing. How do I really deeply not just send away energy that's not mine, but how do I deal with my house space, and how do I deal with my personal field, and how do the vibes thing really work in a way that I can understand and make sure that my outer world is supporting my inner world. So the practical parts here are really practicing how to be in your yin energy. If you're a yang woman, how to be in your yang energy and what the difference of those two is, how to actually do embodied heart living, how to get out of your head and should goals, and how to really get down to what is my soul purpose, not just in a woo woo, I feel it way, but really in a practical, I actually am dealing with this, and not just a manifesting, but a practical how to track results kind of way that's not pushing with the mind. This is really also the practice of what are the energetic words that I need to use to get my needs met. And especially in yin yang communication, what do I need to really inspire men or partners in my life to really step up without nagging and trying to control? This is a freaking magic stage. And we've had a lot of ahas and celebrations from people in our, of course, of really making their, relationships, drawing those in, and making their marriage and established relationships even better than they thought possible. So if you're a therapist at this stage, you're really learning how to advise clients on any life area or subtle body level. You've learned enough of the inner stuff to then understand how the energy works with different life situations, whether it's people in their family or work situations, applying the energy subtle body understanding level that will get people better results. And then you're also getting tools to help people remove energy that's not theirs. This is so important and is a key anxiety reduction tool. I've shared this with people in different ways when we teach, healing anxiety naturally. I have a course, and this is one of the big ones. People don't realize that they can be picking up on stuff that is not theirs. And this is something that people are so relieved when their therapist can tell them about it, because they will feel the difference. So at this stage, having personalized expert guidance really assures that you don't get stuck in life situations that will reharm your subtle body. That's the danger at this phase 3, especially if you're trying to do it alone, is that there will be blind spots, and not knowing how to energetically get your family and your spouse on board, which is often a big blind spot for us. We can be really great on the inside, really great with our partners in crime and yoga classes and personal development. But when it comes to our loved ones, often we really have super, super big blind spots. So that's the big pitfall here. And really not knowing how to shift your outer environment in a way that really supports your inner environment. So what that does is, even though you might have done good work and created new grooves on the inside in phase 1 and phase 2, if you don't have the guidance in this phase 3, you're sort of re-injuring your subtle body because you don't know how to bridge outwards and have that effect go out into other people and into your environment space. Positively, the result here, when you're really hitting the dots for phase 3, is that this is really truly setting you out on the path to self mastery. This is, feeling that deeper sense of inner peace that you knew was kind of there. Maybe you got glimpse of every once in a while if you meditated for a long time or were on a 10-day retreat away from your family. We bring that into the everyday. So you've also cleared the foundation for those deeper spiritual practices, whatever those are for you and your spiritual connection. This really is a true up leveling. So it's an inner world calm, outer world starting to shift even faster, whether you want to do that in business or relationship or your career. And you'll also really start to see it in relationships. I had one client who went through this training, and she's a yoga teacher, and she came back and told me that she hadn't told any of her students what she was doing. And several of her students came up to her a couple months after she'd done this program. And they said, I don't know what you've been doing, but I can tell that you've been really doing something on yourself, because your teaching is different. And I just wanted to say, I feel emotional like remembering this, because it really is important to really have that reflection of people saying to her, you know, thank you. It really makes a difference in your teaching. I've really noticed it, and it's made a difference for me. So we're in a time in the world where there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of things that are coming to light that need to be changed about the outer world. And my working hypothesis is that we are only as effective in the world as we are in our inner world. So it's sort of like that saying that you may have seen in one of those other trainings of like, a yes to someone else that's a no to me means everybody loses. It's the very same concept. If I am not really right and aligned within myself, my ability to be a force for good and for love and for the great mystery in the world is not at its good capacity. So it is this work of where we land after phase 3 that clears the way for us to be heartfelt actors in the world. So this is where we're landing, what we're working on in these weeks 6 to 12 of the Body Wisdom Academy. So you'll find that, for some people it starts a little earlier, but really people are landing there by week 12. I've tested this for a long time, many years, and many, many people. So I really know that this is kind of where we get to. This is beautiful Shruti, who is a client and a nurse, works in an ICU. So she's really got a heavy duty, literally life or death day job. And she said, I felt stuck in life. I had these old stories that were negatively impacting my life. I also felt lost. And after going through this program, landing in phase 3, her reflection was like, I now have a sense of inner peace that I've never known. So this is what we're talking about. We're really firming up this middle element. So we're clearing out not just the boulders that we're blocking, but the smaller little pebbles and other things as well. And you're solidifying the practice in yourself so that you know it, you can do it, and whatever life comes up, you are in that unshakable place. And you really understand how the subtle body process fits together. You've gone through several of those implementing cycles. So it is really in your system and you know it on a cellular level. And what that does in the clearing out is creates this free flow so that your inner knowing, your heart soul level is not impeded. There's nothing in the way of that actually going out into the world. And you've got a cute little smiley face in your outer world, and it feels better as well. So that's a positive. So, with all these tools, if you are feeling again like it's for you and you want to work together and you're feeling it and you like my vibe, if you're annoyed and you think I'm the worst thing ever, then please, that's fine. Be blessed and find someone else out there. I'm sure that God and the universe have made someone out there that's the right fit for you. But if you're really feeling the call to this work deeper, the combination of all of these things together in the Body Wisdom Academy, the way that we do it is with targeted learning through all of these phases, through a series of modules and teaching. I got to give you a little bit of brain knowledge, just like we've been doing, but way deeper. This has been the tip of the iceberg. So it also includes one-on-one attention. The way that I work with people is always individual. And the way that that works is in the 12-week program, I have several over six, it's 8 hours, six healing calls per week. Four of those are mine. And I work with two coaches who are therapeutically trained women who I've trained for many years. And so you can schedule a coaching call spot with me once a week. So I'm on that healing call. It's like an office hours. There's no video, so you can be in your jammies if you want to. And you reserve your spot. Like, Leslie, here's what I want to work on. You get on the call. There's other people there who are holding the space and waiting for their turn. And when it's your turn, it's just you and me working on whatever's up for you. What have you been applying in the tools? Where are you getting stuck? And we're actually shifting it in that moment so that you can feel the difference. And this is the place where not only are you doing this deep work in yourself, but you're also borrowing the benefit of hearing what other people who are in similar situations are going through. And that really creates a sacred container. It's also why it's really important that I really make sure everyone is qualified to be there at the right timing. It's not a comment on anybody's worth. It's just the right person in the right frame of mind to be able to have that capacity. So you also get the benefit in this program of being in a sacred space community of other empaths, healers, highly sensitive people. And for some people, this is really like the first time in life, especially for empaths and our families, where we've been told, like, you're too much, you're too sensitive, you just need to get over it, grow up. Why can't you just get it together? All of those things really going by the wayside. It is powerful to really be seen by other people who can hold that heart to pelvis space. So that's a pretty magical thing. And people make lifelong friends in this program. As a part of the 12 weeks, you also get a bonus ticket to my 3.5 day in-person workshop. And this is where we really get the magic of being together. Now, pre-COVID times, this would happen 3 to 4 times per year, and you would just pick the date that was closest to when you were starting your training. Nowadays, in COVID time, we've opened it way up and say, you will get that in-person experience when it's safe for you to be there and to travel. So you don't have to worry, that's still included. And that's really an important part of it. So all this is what is included in the training when you work with me one-on-one. And this program is guaranteed because here's the thing. If you're here, you have likely at least done one or two things that was really expensive and didn't work. And, people, if you see a good therapist once a week for a year, that's $6,000 easily. And most people have done over $30,000 of training or more or therapy over the years, and it hasn't gotten them results. So it is really important for me in my heart that I offer the best that I can. And I know that I will get people results. If you are qualified and I invite you into the program, I know that if you show up and you do your assessment and you come to, you have to do the work. You have to get on a call with me once per week. You have to do the few assignments that I really set out. You have to come to the in-person. But if you do all those things and you don't get a change in your results, I will literally refund your money. I have a written guarantee. So there is no one in the personal growth healing space that will offer you a guarantee, because they just can't do it, because they are not getting down to the deep, subtle body level. So, this is part of my commitment to myself and my own healing path, and to you, that this is a guaranteed program. So, there's nothing that you have to lose with that. So I'm pretty obsessed with results, which is how I know that I can actually get them for you if you are a qualified person for this program. And so I want to show you an example of Alana. I've changed her name here because she's actually still hasn't even completed her in person because of the timing in the world right now. So she will later on. But these are some of her stats from initially and after her 12 weeks of the program. So, time it takes me to recover from a serious trigger. Remember me saying before that most of the people, when they come in, it's either several weeks, sometimes it's like a month, several weeks, or several days. So, for her, Alana, she noticed that it was taking several weeks most of the time. And after 12 weeks, it takes her an hour to recover from a serious trigger. So, that's a big difference. I feel satisfied and competent in my life. When she came in, it was like a 4 out of 10. And now, after the 12 weeks, it's up at an 8. I have clarity on my life purpose. That was down at a 3 when she found us. And now, after 12 weeks, getting through phase 3, it's landing at an 8. I feel an overall sense of inner peace. Coming into this program was as low as it can go. I guess sometimes we let people do 0, but it was a 1 on this one. And leaving the program after 12 weeks, going through phases 1, 2, and 3, her sense of inner peace is at an 8 out of 10. Here's another result. This is someone who's gone through initial 12 weeks and after the post in person. So you can see across the board, especially this one, I stay in my body even during stressful situations. So if you're someone who hates conflict, there is hope for you. It is possible to make drastic improvements when you go through this 3-phase process. So, if you're feeling like this is for you and you want to grab one of those spots and now is your divine timing, you can comment interested below. Me or my team support will reach out to you, and I'll give you a series of questions. Please answer those as quick as possible. And if you make it to stage 3 and you're qualified, please do, and you get an invite, make sure you take action on that, because we can only hold it for that short amount of time, and then there will be somebody else in line that's more maybe divine timing for that purpose. So you will know the right thing, and I leave that to you. So thank you, thank you, thank you for diving into this training, and for really bringing yourselves to the process, whatever it is, whether you're being called to go deeper, or this was good and you're like, great, Leslie, thanks, I got it, I'm out. I want you to know that it's a really special thing to do this work on yourself, because that is the ripple that goes outward and makes a difference in the world. So thank you for your work on yourself. I bow to your inner self, and I'm rooting for you. Thanks so much. And make sure you get all of the training that you needed out of this group, because in just a couple of days, it's going to close down and be deleted, and everybody will be removed. So now is the time. Make sure you take action if you want to go deeper. And if you've missed any parts of the training, make sure that you go and watch those, because it really is a limited time, and we'll be closing everything down in just a few days. Holding you in my heart.